Hello, everybody. I'm already in the game because I want to show off a little bit of the awkward controls in this. So, first things first, don't you start moving diagonally, you keep moving diagonally. It's really messed up. Also, this infinite laser attack, I won't be able to do that because of hard difficulty. Anyway, let's reset the game. Because, you know, we want the full loading experience. Because this game is really slow to load. How is the bit text showing? Sorry.
The Avengers!
I mean, that was the first time I could actually skip to the option. We're gonna play hard difficulty, 5 live, and you know, that'll be fun. We're playing as Iron Man, as you could see, because Iron Man is, well, easily the best character out of all of them.
America still needs your help! Okay, go!
That's all the loading times. Anyway, hard difficulty makes it so all the enemies have significantly more health and more iframes, and that mostly doesn't matter. Because all the normal enemies, basically, we can one-shot by picking them up and throwing them. It does matter a whole lot for the bosses though. Yeah. There we go. Let's make certain you got that sound clue. Laughter is really great. Now, as you can see, I can't just infinitely spam the laser attack. Easy peasy. Anyway, I'll talk about the difficulty. The reason Iron Man is the best is partly because of the diagonal laser attack, but he's also the smallest character. And that does actually matter for the, if enemies can hit you. So, you know. Yeah, the expression is great. I really love Iron Man's just expression, for lack thereof. I also really like that emote of Iron Man, because that's from the arcade version of this game, I believe. Might be the Genesis version too. This version doesn't actually have it, which is really weird. There's like a couple of different animations that I'm missing. Anyway, those grappler robots are basically the first enemy in which the extra enemy health actually makes a difference. Because normally those enemies just die in one single hit. Anyway, for boss, you can throw into a combo thing, like I just did there, which does significantly more damage per iframe. So that's really important on this difficulty with its higher iframes. Doesn't always work though. Okay, the story of this game is that Red Skull has mind controlled a bunch of super villains to do stuff they normally do anyway. So, very good, very good writing.
Okay, go!
Yeah, they do, kind of. Like, I think the iframes are the same, but punches don't do damage until you hit the third punch. Really weird. The arcade and Genesis versions are actually quite good games. I'd recommend playing either one of them, and for this one. The arcade version actually supports up to 4-player co-op, which is really fun. Anyway, for the shoot 'em up stages, basically all the enemies can take one more hit on hard difficulty, which means I actually have to move around instead of just staying in one position and shooting all the time. Which is still what I'm going to be doing for this mini-boss if I position myself right. Because if this is correct, yeah it is, I can just stay here and keep mashing and I'll win without taking any damage. Just exactly what you like to see. That's mostly these green enemies, which make me move around a little. At the final hour, was that in the most recent Kusogron? Because I got it there too. That's how I was introduced to this game. Yeah, that's pretty fun. But yeah, I made the stupid decision to start speedrunning this version of the game after that match. I'm actually the world record holder for this game on easy difficulty, and there's no real times for other difficulty, so I guess I'm the world record holder by default for hard difficulty, but you know, doesn't really count. Speaking of, hard difficulty is about 5 minutes slower just due to the extra iframes, which is pretty funny. Yeah, I know one of the players in that match discovered the fact that you could actually throw bosses with the punch combo, and the only reason I know that's possible, because that's entirely undocumented, is because one of the players found that out, so it's actually really helpful to watch that Kuso match to get speed tag, ironically. But yeah, the game only seems to be able to display one type of text at the time, so the sound effects just change. It's really weird. Yeah, they did. I wasn't really thinking about it, but you might have seen me skip floating W earlier. That actually gives you a helpful character, but unfortunately she causes extra lag on the mini-bosses, so it's quicker to skip her entirely. I could have mentioned that when I flew past that, but it kinda slipped my mind. And yeah, what Conan said is incredibly true. Like, Iron Man is the best for these stages. Vision is almost the same, but he has less range than Iron Man. Hawkeye is just incredibly awkward because he shoots incredibly far above his normal speed. Right. Sorry if I sound a bit uncertain. It's a little nerve-wracking to be in front of this amount of people. Anyway, that was the Mammoth Robot. Yes. Definitely the name you think of when you saw that thing, right? Anyway, I'm gonna focus on taking the grappler robots out here first, because I can't grab and trail one, so they effectively act as timer on these encounters. So, you know. Favorite felt bite there. Mentioning that the throwing I keep doing, I thought was entirely undocumented for a while, but it is mentioned in one single place about this game, and that's the Arcade Owner's Manual. That's the only place I've found where it's actually documented. It's supposed to be when you walk into an enemy and press the punch button and you pick him up, but it doesn't really work that way in this version. I don't know if that's a more accurate description in other versions. I haven't really played the other versions much, like I've played the arcade version once. The machine could come in 2 or 4 player variants. It's something you could set on the dip switches, and presumably it would matter on what version of the hardware you had. One of the weirdest things about Hao Kai in this game in particular is that he doesn't get a diagonal ranged attack like Fission and Iron Man do. I don't know why they'd leave that out for the guy whose entire gimmick is literally ranged attacks. Wait, this is Grim Reaper, who, according to the manual, has the amazing superpower of sight. Yes. That's a superpower. He has a sight. Anyway, this is a fairly technical fight. I'm decent at it. It's a bit harder on hard, because on easy I can just unlock him, effectively. In this I actually need to deal with his attacks, but it's okay. There we go.
The Avengers!
Having to resist this urge to hit my splits, because I've just set up a simple timer for this instead of my usual splits.
Still need your help!
It reminds me I should make my timer visible on screen. 12 minutes is pretty decent for this bit.
Okay, go!
Anyway, a couple of lure these enemies over to this bit of the bow. It's got less weird stuff, which makes the enemies jump. So they're all crew up. There we go. Now we're on to Wizard, apparently. Who I think might actually also be a villain, but you know. Anyway, we want to lure him to the left side of the screen here, because then he just kind of doesn't really have any ability to hurt us. Yeah. It's also, like you see him trail out discs for about 1 frame of animation that actually lags the Game-a-thon, so this way it's off the screen as quickly as possible. Yeah, the version of this, the version of the soundtrack in this game is worse than any other versions. Like, this is one of those games where the Genesis version has a better soundtrack, even though it's ported to the SNES as well, which isn't quite as common. Like, Like, usually it's the Genesis that gets the ruined soundtrack. There's 3 auto-scrolling sec. This is the second one. And there are no health refills between stages. So, you know, gotta play well. Like, I also set the credits to 5, but that actually means I have 5 lives in most games terms. Maybe back to mashing. Take a break for a bit now. I actually have my input display on, which I meant to turn off actually for the marathon, but you know, you can enjoy me mashing. I won't be doing that on this boss, ironically, because it causes lag if I have more than one shot on the screen at once. So instead, I shoot when the words roughly overlap with the green thing on top of the boss. It's not quite perfect, but it means I can kill it with minimal lag and minimal, you know, waste of time. Also, that was the Mecha Target. Had to mention that. The guy who keeps giving us a plate of whatever that's supposed to be is Quicksilver, I think? That's what the manual says, anyway. Not super well versed in its comic lore. Like, I can recognize the main Avengers in this game. Well, I couldn't recognize Vision, but he's kind of B-list. But the others I could recognize, but the villains are, even without this game, you know, I still wouldn't have heard of them. You know, this boss becomes incredibly slow on hard difficulty because his iframes last incredibly long. Like, this entire time I'm baiting out, I'm doing on purpose to make the fight as quickly as possible. This is supposed to be Mandarin, by the way, but he definitely looks more like Shredder. Okay, I missed hunting now. That's okay. Anyway, one of the things that makes this game really bad is incredibly long iframes on everything. Like, this boss is one example. Like, I'm trying to lure him up back and forth so I can trigger... So I can lean out his iframes without him going into another invincibility period, like here. But, you know. Hopefully. No. I think I'm just going with the other setup at this point. Like, because I can hit him here, it's just slow, but he's only 2 hits away, so it's fine. There we go.
The Avengers.
Yeah. In other versions of this game, he has
America still needs your help.
pretty bad voice sample at the start of the fight. So I'd prefer pretending he's Shredder, honestly.
Okay, go.
Sorry about that. I came out with an illness about a week ago, and I've still got a lingering cough. Anyway, now the grabby robots have been upgraded and take one more hit, so now they take 4 hits instead of 3. Just kind of annoying. There's also a lot of them in this thing. Also, this game, or stage, despite being called the giant laser cannon, doesn't actually feature the giant laser cannon. So, sorry. Red Bolt's superpower, according to this game at least, is punch and kick. Yeah. It's the best set of superpowers in my opinion. We're on to fighting the next boss, the Yellow Death, also known as the Juggernaut. And this has decently long iframes, but it's not nearly as bad as the last boss was. It's just kind of annoying, because, well, I should expect that of the Juggernaut. Basically touching him hurts you. So I have to do this keep away strategy. Like if I try punching him, I'm basically guaranteed to get hit. Like the rolling doesn't look very threatening, but it does hurt you. So I try to lead him in this triangle pattern to wear out the iframes and then hit him. Yeah, it's worth noting that all these enemies that I keep instantly killing and hitting in one hit would take roughly 15 seconds or so to kill if I were to fight them normally. Each. That's one of the reasons why this game is pretty bad. Like, I'm making it look much better than it actually is. Well, this version of the game anyway. Like, other versions don't have ludicrous iframes. Really talk about this game at this point. We are coming up on the hardest boss in the game. That's something. Yeah. Despawn that guy, but he spawned in anyway. Anyway, this is Ultron. Was supposed to be anyway. He is much less predictable than the other bosses are. Like, the bosses before this I could manipulate the movement off, you know, that kind of stuff. This one, not so much. And yeah, whenever he flies around like that can hurt you. When he bends forward after shooting, walking into him, even though that makes no sense, hurts you. It's really weird. Like, it's a really unfair boss fight. to the final state. There's only 5 stages in this game. That are decently long, actually. Anyway, the final shoot 'em up segment is gonna happen, so have fun with that. You can see I'm already matching in preparation. Should be the one to fly to the top on this one. It's a safe position, at least if you're playing Iron Man. I mean, the Octo Robot, or the Nekataka, he's amazing. Best boss in the game. Anyway, here's the Wasp M one again. This time we don't have a mini boss coming up, so I can pick her up and show her off just a little bit. Like, if I fire with the Y button, she won't fly forward. If I shoot with the A button, however, she flies forward. Sorry. My voice is... Oh, my throat's boring in the old level. Also, it's worth mentioning, I purposely fly to the very top of the screen before these transitions which go downwards, because that actually makes it quicker. Yes, that is incredibly backward. Talk a little bit more about enemy manipulation. God, I'm really losing my words right now. Moving up and down is a really good way to keep the enemies passive, because they tend to need to be a little bit away from you before they choose to attack. It's time for the next boss fight. These are just 2 elite soldier guys. At least they're gonna be. Like, they're called controls or something in the manual, but I think they're just meant to be elite soldiers of Red Skull or something. And I'm just gonna damage boost for the most part. It's the easiest way to do this fight. And yeah, Glitchwitch is completely correct on that one. I like throwing enemies in those two. This is Crossbones, I believe? Yeah. As before, I'm gonna lure him into the left for the most part. Because again, that sets him up well for the punch into throw combo. Which is the most damaging way of attacking a boss. a little bit here. 5 enemies at once is a bit much. There we go. Yeah, exactly. The next boss fight is the easiest fight in the game by a wide margin. You'll see why. There we go. I can stay here like this for literally forever. I tried it in fast forward for a laugh for once. He's also got the longest iframes in the game. It's like he punches 9 times and then becomes vulnerable again. So, you know, have fun waiting. Although invulnerable to being drowned, due to the fact that he actually takes damage after being punched once, which is kind of funny. No, this time plan. You don't want to be out a bit for an ammo shot, because you need some distance before Mecha-Red's call-up appears. Because this boss is not the easiest boss in the game, it's actually the second hardest one. It's also massively unfair. Like, getting this to him basically hurts you, which is a really good quality in a beat 'em up game. This box is also difficult to do. Should lock him into a pattern I like. He's gonna roll away, and he's gonna jump to the right, he's gonna charge at me, and make a shooter, and he's gonna repeat that. It's alternating which direction he jumped. Like this should be basically the rest of the fight. Like it. That's unfortunate. Oh well. Is when the stage clear appears. There we go. 33:35 isn't my best time, but you know, it's pretty decent. Like my best time in this category is like a 32:30, so like a minute slower is pretty decent. Anyway, the credits aren't particularly special, there's no special scenes anymore, so we can end this bit right now. Thank you for watching, everybody.